Welcome to Flourish. I'm Diane Planidin, and you're in the right place if you're ready to create an inspired life. And we do so by working on our own personal development so we can be strong role models for those we love and mentor. So we can be strong when we have setbacks and prepare for breakthroughs. Today's episode is a little bit of a follow-up from last week where I had an in-depth interview with Vince Vicente. He is quite the motivational speaker. He's quite well-versed in challenges that come up in life. And the interesting thing about his new book, The Earthquake, coming out, I think in about a week, is how it makes you really think. So I've had time to reflect after our conversation, after reading the full book, after going back into my notes and the highlights. The one thing that I really, really love about this book is that, it does make you think, but here's how it starts. He begins by talking about how there's no linear way out of chaos. And then he quotes a famous psychologist, Dr. Poulos, who told him at a very young age, I think Vince might have been in his 20s, and I'm going to quote from the book, that based on scientific research, in 1 second of time, the conscious mind utilizes 2,000 neurons. In the same second, your subconscious mind utilizes 4 billion neurons. So that's why the story takes you from the ant and the elephant's journey, the ant being the conscious and the elephant being the subconscious. So it gives you a little bit of a visual picture there. And, it's fascinating how far science has come to help us humans understand our own neuroscience, our superpower, our CPU, our own little robot that's in us. And what's exciting about this is that it's not a new concept. And a lot of people have been talking about it more from a spiritual standpoint for eons. But everything's caught up and everything's being proven that, yes, we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. So we get to choose. We get choice. And I don't think this is taught enough in schools. So if you're listening to this podcast, wherever you are in the world, just remember, you have a choice, and that choice moves into your actions. So every time you're making a decision, whether it's good or bad, we've all been there, done that, it is our choice. But more importantly, and Carl Jung gave this phrase, you are what you do, not what you say you will do. So that means you have a choice. If you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to, let's give you an easy example. I'm going to work out every morning for the next 30 days. You've made a choice. You've decided to work out every morning. But that's not going to come to fruition unless you take action. So there's a lot of build-up, a lot of, maybe visualization. Maybe you say, okay, in order for me to reach that goal, I need to put my running shoes beside my bed to trigger me to create a new habit. There's a lot of different ways you can choose to do these things and therefore take action. The other thing is that when you have a choice, you can choose to be disciplined, or you can choose to suffer in regret. So you get to choose your actions. Actions speak louder than words, don't they? So on my vision board, yes, I update it all the time, and I actually just did a retooling of it. I almost didn't have enough room to have a clear picture to keep me inspired, to keep me energized, because you have to work out your mental muscle, your physical muscle, your spiritual muscle, and that combined really makes you a strong individual. So I have this big sign that's actually beside my vision board now that says, suffer the pain of discipline or suffer the pain of regret. You get to choose. And I wrote that. It's not an easy thing to look at every morning when I wake up because, yes, now my vision board is right beside my bed. No excuses. Little triggers. I want those triggers right front and center, right? And that's the oxygen that's fueling my flame. It gives me oxygen. It gives me inspiration. It reminds me, if I get out of bed between 5 and 6 o'clock, my day has been won by the time the average bear gets out of bed. When I say bear, I mean the average person, of course, but it's just one of those things where when I listened to, I listen to a lot of podcasts myself. I read a lot of books myself. And of course, I'm doing this episode for you to give you some ideas, to give you some little triggers. And I will link in the show notes the episode that I did with Vince Vicente and Sarah Payton, because they both had really excellent perspectives on how to build your mental muscle, how to come through to the other side. Because there's a lot of adversity in the world. And in Canada in the last week, our poor, beautiful British Columbia province had major flooding, highways shut down. No transportation trucks, no fuel, no food, nothing. And you really can't even prepare for that in advance because it kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. It did rain a lot, I'm going to say that, and I'm not an engineer by any means to understand what exactly caused all the flooding. But my point is, the people there had a choice. They could either take action, start slugging, bags of sand, or they could wallow and sit in the corner and think, poor me, my life is over. But no, in the face of the adversity, in the eye of the storm, people gathered together and they worked together and they helped each other. They didn't even know each other. I mean, complete strangers were staying at people's homes. You take people in. You help your fellow mankind, womankind, personkind, humankind. I don't even know what it's called anymore, but you help your own people, your own neighbor, people who need help. You have a choice, and then you take action. So there's so many earthquakes, so many stumbling blocks, whether they're personal, environmental, mental, physical, whatever is going on in your world, wherever you are what you say you were going to do to take action. So it's not what just you say, it's what you do. Actions speak louder than words. So, one more time, to quote Carl Jung, you are what you do, not what you say you will do. And then you will have a happier life and you'll live life more inspired.